One aspect of video games I've always been fascinated with are speedruns, where players will compete to record the fastest times in certain categories, usually based on completing the game in a certain way, but sometimes focusing on a specific situation in the game. After doing research on the topic, and watching people attempt some pretty crazy time challenges, I decided to make a video about the weirdest Super Mario speedruns, where I truly found some amazing categories that you may not have known about. I did use speedrun.com as a guide to discover these weird categories, as this site has become the most legitimate amongst the community, and over the years, some of the runs have evolved in some strange ways. Oh yeah, before I get started, my name is Copycat, and if you haven't yet, then please subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell button to stay notified when I upload new videos. Probably the most spedrun Mario game of all time is its very first Nintendo Entertainment System entry, where some pretty interesting categories have popped up in recent years, which do have some very strange rules that you need to follow. The first we're going to look at, and one of my favorites, is called Minus World, where you need to get into the glitch underwater level and go through the pipe at its end. To pull this off, you need to clip into the pipe leading to the warp area at the end of 1-2. Where if you go through the one that leads to World 4, it won't properly load, and you'll instead be sent to this unused area. The funny thing is about this place is that it's not actually completable, and instead it just takes you right back to its beginning, meaning that this is a speedrun that doesn't even require you to beat the game, which is a bit odd to me. However, even stranger is that there's a run called Minus World Ending that requires you to pull off the exact same glitch, but this time only using the Famicom version of the original game. That's because you're instead sent to a completely different Minus World, where you can actually progress through 3 unique levels that seem to be unused content that wasn't meant to be played. The world record holder right now is Nifsky with a time of 2 minutes, 30 seconds, where he pulls off some amazing wall clips to save him massive amounts of time. The next category we're going to look at is one called Walkathon, which if you haven't guessed, requires you to absolutely avoid using the B button, meaning that you can't run at all, only walk. To properly pull this off, you need immense skill mixed with tons of luck, as you can definitely lose some time in the final Bowser fight. Or can get a pattern like world record holder Nifsky did, and place an amazing time of 6 minutes and 54 seconds. This isn't a crazy out there kind of speedrun, but I always find it weird when something's added to the requirement that almost limits you from playing the game properly. Now, I guess if we're talking about limitations, then I definitely have to mention the category called Blindfolded, which, of course, means the player has to complete the game without being able to see the screen at all. You need to have a crazy good memory, just like the world record holder Crescendo, with an amazing time of 7 minutes and 59 seconds. Although I will say, remembering certain paths in a 2D realm pales in difficulty to its 3D counterpart. Of course, you do hope that all these runs are legit and there are no shenanigans involved, but you can tell when people know the game inside and out, and when people are faking it. The final category we're going to look at, and one I've actually fooled around with myself, is called One Hand, where you need to beat the game using either your left or right hand with no switching. You need to have a hand cam to submit a run for this one, and you also need to use the original NES controller or just a dog bone shaped one, meaning that mouse and keyboard players aren't allowed. Jeremy MKW narrowly beats out Cosmic with a time of 4 minutes, 59 seconds, and 41 milliseconds, making them only 5 seconds behind the regular any% runs. Of course, this isn't every single weird speedrun categories from this classic title, so if this video gets a lot of love, and maybe around 5,000 likes, I might make a part 2. Up next, we're gonna look at the North American sequel to Super Mario Bros., obviously called Super Mario Bros. 2, where there's only one I want to look at from this game, called No World 4. I don't quite understand the concept of creating a rule like this that makes players have to avoid the specific world, especially as it's such a pivotal part of the 80% speedrun. I thought maybe that might be the case and why people wanted to leave it out, but unfortunately I couldn't find any information on why this one was created, so if you know anything about its backstory, then please let me know in the comments below. One of my all-time favorite Mario games is the next we're going to look at in Super Mario Bros. 3, which has some of the most interesting categories, starting with one called Frog Percent. In this one, you need to play from World 1 through World 5 with the Frog Suit power-up equipped, which can actually only be done with a Game Genie, meaning you have to hack your playthrough to even attempt this. You also cannot use any method of warps, meaning that the Bagler 5's world record is past the 30-minute mark, which is a pretty long time having to control Frog Mario's weird movements. Next, we're gonna look at probably the most inappropriate category ever named, called Poop Block Percent. Yes, Poop Block, where you need to get to the World 5 airship and find this specific brown block to end your run. I really can't piece together why or how this is even a speedrunning category, and most of the videos I've found on it have no comments, so it doesn't even seem like many people are even talking about it. The final we're gonna look at, and quite honestly might be the best speedrun ever, is called Nice Percent, where you hilariously have to complete up to World 6-9 with exactly 9 lives and have a total of 69 coins. There are literally only 2 people who have even submitted times for this meme run, Brockus420 and MacroBros52, both just barely squeaking in at over 7 minutes. The final of the original games we're going to look at is the Super Mario Bros. 2 Japanese only release, eventually coming out years later in North America as the Lost Levels, where there's 2 categories I want to look at, starting with coinless. Now, if you haven't guessed, in this one you can't touch a single coin at all within the levels that you're attempting to run in, which is actually a lot harder than it sounds, as you have to precisely formulate routes around that. As of right now, Alvaca holds the world record with a time of 11 minutes and 8 seconds, which is around 4 minutes off the any percent time, so this one rule really sets one run apart from the other. The only other category I want to mention from this game is one called Crash, where you literally need to do that to your game, where you have to die in the specific spot in World 8-4, which takes you back to World 8-1, then you have to clip through the pipe. I'm surprised that there's actually no way of crashing the game in earlier levels, but either way, the world record is held by JT Knott with a time of 8 minutes, 26 seconds, who also might have one of the most wholesome celebrations I've ever seen.
Yes, world record! Yes! World record!
Another game that has some very wacky speedrunning categories is Super Mario World for the SNES, where my favorite from it has to be Feed the Yoshi. In this particular one, you need to swallow each individually colored shell with their corresponding Yoshi color, which can be done the easiest by reaching the secret star world, where you can find most of the different Yoshi variations. From just looking at the forum, I can tell that many people in the community don't love arbitrary categories that seem to be invented out of thin air and not ones that are created out of some sort of natural evolution from the player base. One category that isn't necessarily weird, but does have some very strange requirements in order to attempt it, is called Small Only, where you can't use any of the game's power-ups, but if you do, then your run doesn't have to end immediately, and instead you just incur some sort of penalty. If you accidentally obtain a power-up or ride Yoshi, then you need to die as soon as possible without using them to help you save any amount of time. If you accidentally go through a checkpoint, which powers you up to Super Mario form, then you need to take damage immediately, finish the level, then completely replay it in small form, which is pretty brutal. One game that I'm very surprised has extensive speedrunning categories is Super Mario Land 2, where we're going to start things off by looking at one called Jackpot, where you need to hit the 99 upfield in the 999 coin slot machine game. This, however, is not how you complete the speedrun, as it's actually done by using the glitch method of getting killed while you enter a pipe, which will then glitch you through the floor the next time you enter the level. This puts you in an area under the level, where with a bit of movement manipulation, you can actually complete your run very quickly, with Electman currently holding the world record with a time of 1 minute, 45 seconds, and 429 milliseconds. One speedrun I could see being very difficult is called Pacifist, where you need to complete the game without killing any enemies, except for the bosses of course, and the floating faces in the final castle. On top of this, you cannot use any glitches at all to progress through the game, so having to play through each level and collect the 6 coins without killing anything is extremely difficult, with MTF Sayer being able to do it in 28 minutes, 17 seconds. The final category I want to look at sort of ties in with the last one we just saw, where you have to try your hardest to avoid collecting as many coins as you can while completing the game with no glitches as fast as you can. If you do end up touching a coin, then you need to incur a penalty of 10 seconds added to your final time for each one you get. but the world record holder MTH Sayer only collected an impressively low 5, ending with a time of 29 minutes, 11 seconds. I never really thought I would have included Hotel Mario of all games in this video, but it does have one weird speedrun category called Toasters %, as it's all about trying to get to the Toasters cutscene as fast as you can. There are only 2 runners who have even attempted this one, Super Mega Dev and Grumpmeister. But then again, I guess you do need a Philips CDI, which is a system I've never even seen with my own eyes, so it's not like it's available to everybody. This of course is just a meme run, as Mario fans find this game absolutely hilarious and extremely out of place compared to every other one in the series. I mean, Mario talks in this one. Another Mario game that's extremely popular in the speedrunning community is his N64 entry, which was the first 3D game in the series, literally and figuratively adding another dimension to the gameplay. One of my favorite weird categories is of course this game's Blindfolded speedrun, which ups the ante and takes over 20 minutes to complete. This is an incredibly insane feat that almost doesn't even make sense, as I feel not being able to know where you're going in a 3D setting would just make me feel lost. I guess that's why no one's even really close to Noboro56's time of 23 minutes, 48 seconds, as he's clearly put in the dedication to remember specific routes. One category that I don't even really understand why they exist are the CCCless ones. That essentially means no coins, no cap power-ups, and for some unknown reason, you can't use cannons. Now I totally understand the no power-ups and no coins part of it, but not being able to use cannons is a weird requirement that I can't quite wrap my head around, as it doesn't even seem like it would be a cheap feature to use in a speedrun. On the flip side, there is actually a category I've seen called All Cannons, where you just have to uncover every single one of the game's cannons. So I guess, literally anything anyone thinks of could be a speedrun? The next game speedrun categories we're gonna look at is the GameCube Super Mario Sunshine, which has some weird ones, including one called Get on the Top of Pachinko, where you have to do just that. To pull this off, you need to use a jump exploit where you can slide and spin off the wall repeatedly, going higher and higher until you reach the top. In this somewhat random speedrun, Orange117 holds the world record with a time of 59 seconds, 900 milliseconds, making up a lot of his time during the start of his exploit, where he was able to gain a lot of hype by double jumping. One speedrun that's both weird and somewhat hard is Hoverless, where you need to complete the game while not using the flood feature at all. This is a similar category to Walkathon, where you completely remove a vital aspect of the gameplay to intentionally make the run more difficult. Shadow Mario 27 holds the world record specifically in the any percent hoverless category, with a time of 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 45 seconds, which is quite honestly a very long time to complete a speedrun, and definitely takes tons of preparation and discipline. Now I'd have to say the stupidest speedrun category that I've seen, no offense to anyone who attempts this one, is called On Top of Every Tree, where you have to touch the top of every tree in the game. I'm confused. Even more puzzling is that you also have to touch the top of the Out of Bounds tree, making what I thought at first was a meme speedrun into one that's rather difficult to complete efficiently. The world record holder with a time of 36 minutes, 31 seconds is SB Runs, who's in almost 4 minutes ahead of the second place run, which is very impressive. Next up, we're gonna look at different weird runs from New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS, starting with one called Any Percent No Shell RNG, where it's against the rules to manipulate the game and force a red block with a blue shell in it to spawn in World 1-2. If there's one thing it seems that speedrunners hate, it's randomness while they're attempting their runs, which is something that unfortunately is required for the Any Percent speedrun, as even if you pull off the manipulation exploit, it only has a 50% chance of spawning. The blue shell is really vital in any speedrun of this game, as the power-up allows you to move a bit faster and kill enemies, saving you a crazy amount of time. It seems like this one spawned just out of hatred because of that one exploit, creating this weird subcategory. One of my favorites from this game is one called Game Over, where you need to be the fastest in the world to die 5 times from the first Goomba. With the top 10 runs being within mere milliseconds of each other, BRT CBR gained a crazy time of 1 minute, 31 seconds, 100 milliseconds. I'm really not sure what he did to even optimize any time at all, other than maybe getting a bit lucky. The final run from this game I want to showcase is called Out of Bounds, where you have to do just that at the end of World 1-2. To pull this off, you need to bring the spring to the end pipe of the underground section, placing it in the small gap above the pipe, which for some reason allows you to clip out of bounds. As of right now, Spicy Noodles holds the world record with a time of 1 minute, 58 seconds, 67 milliseconds, and I'm not sure what can be changed to even beat that. Skipping ahead a few games as I didn't have any weird speedruns, we land on a title that isn't technically a Mario entry in New Super Luigi U, where there's a category called Nabbit%. Here, you need to complete the game as fast as possible only using Nabbit, who becomes a playable character in this game by pressing ZL on the gamepad, or ZL if you live in America, specifically when you select a level. As an added rule, you also have to force Nabbit to be playable in levels that he usually isn't by dying a certain amount of times until the game actually feels bad for you. There are only 4 submitted runs for this subcategory, with Navadra currently holding the world record with a time of 28 minutes, 5 seconds. A game that's quickly become the most popular to speedrun in the franchise is Super Mario Odyssey, that has several very wacky categories, where we're going to start with one called All Death Animations. I won't lie, this one seems pretty fun to complete, as you need to achieve all 10 different ways to die as fast as you possibly can. This is done specifically in the Sand and Lake Kingdoms, as you can find all the unique elements in these two while also using their sub-areas. The world record is a time of 3 minutes, 35 seconds, held by Hey It's G-Man, who absolutely destroys the underwater portions of these runs, making up tons of time. Talkatoon% is another weird speedrun challenge, as it's all based on having to use the Talkatoon's moon location hint as your only way of being able to collect one, which is actually a very randomized thing, and in turn means no 2 runs will be the same. It's weird how I just talked about runners disliking random game elements, and then they go and create an entire category based around just that, making me guess that the community is more split than I thought. The final speedrun from this game and video we're going to look at is also probably my all-time favorite out of all of these in Nipple%, which is a challenge that sees how fast you can get Mario out of his regular clothes and have him expose his chest wearing just his swimsuit. In the end, this is really just a speedrun to see how fast you can get to the Sand Kingdom while collecting 1,000 coins to buy the trunks. Tyrone18 holds the world record right now in this one with a time of 7 minutes, 26 seconds. And I'm surprised to see that this category is actually taken really seriously with almost over 600 submissions. One that's 11 hours long, by the way. Alright, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you did enjoy this one. If you want to see a part 2 to this one, where I go more in depth in some of the games I already talked about, and even look at maybe the Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi series, then please leave a like below, and if it gets over 5,000, I'll definitely make it. Also, please subscribe to my channel, and check out my Instagram account at Copycat Gamer, where there I upload some cool clips and items from my collection that you won't see anywhere else. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!